everybody, and welcome to Fire and Forte. And we are right in the midst of Sustainability Week. So hopefully you've been listening along and been really enjoying the content so far. Today, I'm talking to a female founder in the sustainability space. Good morning, Priya. Thank you so much for coming on Fire and Forte.
Good morning, Hannah, and thank you so much for having me. And I'm loving what you're doing as well.
I love that. I think we're each other's big fans. So women supporting women live in action.
Yes, absolutely.
Would you be able to introduce yourself and your fantastic business to the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. So my name is Priya Ravindra and I'm the founder of Punar. We actually make sustainable and ethical gifts as well as all sorts of innovative home textiles. Punar started with a vision of enriching the lives of women artisans back in India while solving the problem of textile landfill. And here we are today.
Astoundingly brilliant goal. I mean, you are ticking so many boxes here in terms of we all want to do the right thing and supporting women, certainly with less opportunity potentially than ourselves, whilst also helping this issue around textile landfill is ticking a lot of boxes. So how did you come to build this business and then make it happen, which would have been no mean feat?
The grey hair, yes. And from that starts the story. I have technology background. I did electronics and microengineering, and even my master's is in business and IT. I'm a project program portfolio manager. That's all I've always been doing, IT and business projects. So using IT to make, people's lives better. So that's what drives me. In IT, there's always been less and less women, although it's changing these days, which makes me incredibly happy. I was the only female in an entire floor who could code. This was, when I just started as a graduate. So that kind of got me thinking, and I'm going, no, we need more women in IT. So I've always been, sort of all kind of gender diversity, and also that, like gender equality initiatives, especially when it comes to IT. So supporting women has been like, it's pretty much I live and breathe that, right? So after all this happened, I took a little career break after I had my child, but that was a very conscious choice, especially the first year, because I just wanted to be with my daughter. And I was actually looking at some of the amazing things that's happening in India these days. There's a lot of young entrepreneurs and people who are like taking the traditions and making something really amazing, things. And through my networks, I found out about handloom. Handloom sector's always been there, right? Like for hundreds of years, hand weaving fabrics, that's nothing new. But I found out about some amazing women who've decided to sort of, pioneer. What they were doing is, using recycled yarn that comes from the landfill textile waste, and then making these beautiful handloom fabric using recycled yarn. And mind you, it's not easy because the fabric won't turn out well if it's not the right, proportion. It comes down to the skill of the weaver as well, and what type of, recycled yarn you're choosing. Lots of trial and errors, right? I was just fascinated with their story, and I thought, oh, okay, I really have to do something with them. Really gonna do something with them. It's in the back of my head. And at the same time, I was still, I'm still running my project management consultancy and, working with my clients. And around, I was about to turn, when I was about to turn 40, that's when I'm like, no, I really need to get this moving, because one, it's women entrepreneurs, and also they took women who came from a difficult socioeconomic background, upskilled them, and then gave them this thriving career in a safe, supporting, and nurturing environment, right? So I'm like, okay, let's get going. And then suddenly the world decided to shut down because of, COVID. We all know what happened. And interestingly, and I'm like, okay, maybe the timing's not right. But what I did though was I kept in touch with them. And throughout COVID, it started like sort of, make me wonder because look, for us, the things that we have here, right? Good houses, education, being able to care for our children, the medical facilities, but India is not the same way. We already know that there's huge, sort of division of wealth, and um, there's people, who come from very, very difficult, sort of backgrounds, and there's no support whatsoever. So it kind of like, gave me that big push. I'm like, I really need to get in and do something like right now. 2021 was the most difficult year for India because they had the worst, sort of COVID wave. And so I've had personal losses as well. That I think was the final tipping point for me, Hannah. I decided to face my fear and whatever apprehension I had. I used grief and the challenges, the devastation around me. I used that to fuel something positive in life. And that's when I said, this is it. Going ahead, I'm starting Punar, and in 2022, I was able to get samples and did extensive market feedback. I've gone around to my friends and even to homeware and lifestyle shops saying, here, tell me your honest feedback, without telling them it was recycled and hand woven, because I wanted the feedback, honest feedback. And when I got started getting this raving reviews when I said, oh, it's made by women, that's how it start off, right? And then once I started getting more and more feedback, then I'd go, do you know it's hand woven? Do you know, this is what it is. It's almost like a zero emission fabric. We use natural sort of, dyes, and people would go, you're kidding. No way, no way. So the market testing and the research also gave me just the engineering brain, the data, the validation that there is demand. And also there's that curiosity in people, and also most importantly, a lot of people want to do the right thing. They want to help in one way or the other, right? It's just that sometimes they don't know where to look, who to ask, or where to start. And I said, all right, no, let's get moving. And Punar soft launched in November, and within a few weeks we were actually sold our first batch of products, sold out. And now we are in May and we are growing and expanding. So that's the story of Punar, and how I got started and decided to change my career path completely. Yeah.
An absolutely brilliant story, because it's born out of a need, and they've already, it's already a group of entrepreneurs that are there with this recycled yarn. That's so interesting. But it ultimately did take you to take a big leap of faith into listening probably to your purpose. And I think, sadly, it is a lot of the time something that happens in our lives that then propels us into, and whether it's a good thing that happens or unfortunately a really untimely things that happens that make us think, now or never, I'm just going to go and do this thing. But you've actually made the leap. I take it you reduced hours in your day-to-day business, because finding the time, you've done all of these steps, but finding the time to actually do it once you were doing the market validation, brilliant, essential step. How did you find the time balancing family and still earning to actually evolve Punar?
Again, I have to be very honest about this. I do not believe in the concept of balance. It's very controversial what I'm saying, I know, but then I've lived and long enough, and also, experienced my life long enough, and having spoken to other women as well who are doing similar things long enough, I can tell you, no, there's no such thing as balance. What there is, though, is that integrated view of life and creating your own life in a way that way that you're able to fulfill your purpose. This means there are some days when I can't give enough time to family. And there's also some days where no, I know I can't focus on, business. But from my perspective, that's okay because I'm designing the way I want to. It's not about perfection, but it's about creating a life that works for me and helps me fulfill my purpose. So if I'm happy and fulfilled, then I know I'm a much better, sort of consultant, a much better wife and a better mother and a better friend, and a daughter. So absolutely. So that's what I'd say to people. You cannot expect that in this week 3 days is gonna be completely dedicated to family, 4 days is gonna be business focus. It's never going to work like that. While we have to roll with the punches, I'm a project manager. Look, I yeah, of course, plan and me and my list, of course, that's never going to go away. What I start though is every night I write down 3 really things, great things that I'm grateful for. So when I wake up next morning, I know what are the 3 things I'm grateful for. It's already there. And because I'm already grateful, I'm in the right mindset for that day. I write down no more than 5 things, Hannah, just 3 to 5 things, but they're actually doable things. I know that I'm going to get them done. So by end of that day, when I'm done with all these things, it's this incredible satisfaction, and it's also scientific, right? With brain, you're kind of fueling that, whatever it is, to brain going, hey, you've done it, you got this. So there's that extra motivation, like, okay, I got this. Having said that, there are days when you don't have to do, 1 or 2 things. That's also fine. So part planning, part flexibility, and last but not the least, taking that ownership. Create your life with purpose, and I promise, no matter how difficult it sounds, right, it'll come together. Yep.
Very good, practical, but also probably more emotional advice, in the sense that you're probably going to be more frustrated if you don't fulfill your dream. So go after your dream and be realistic about everything else that comes around it. I think at the moment, the world really does need sustainable business models or activities, or people pioneering and entrepreneur looking as not treating problems in the world out there in an entrepreneurial way. So we don't want any of these excuses. And I think we can dispel the myth, we haven't got time, etc., when you've been able to do it. I mean, not for everybody, but there is that kind of option. In terms of stepping through the steps so that you went through, because there would have been some areas of building your own business that you were familiar with, project management, seeking data, albeit very different data from what you'd be used to. What steps did you take? What were the key milestones in your journey? And were there some areas that became more natural to you? And when there were some areas that you might have thought, I've never done anything like this and I'm really out of my depth, how you manage those moments?
Absolutely. I think, and also that's a very good question, right? And I think this is where I had to learn how to ask for help. And also, I love learning anyway, but instead of looking at traditional learning, this time I looked at something different. Founder is a Melbourne-based company. They are a magazine, obviously they're featured, all sorts of entrepreneurs, including, Sir Richard Branson, on their covers. So they're phenomenal. What they offer is actually courses, business courses run by real life entrepreneurs, right? So there's these e-learning courses that are there. You can sign up to and do it in your own time, right? So I decided, okay, I know project management, I know my connections, so I didn't really need to go look for suppliers and stuff like that. You know, some of the components were already there, and because luckily, because obviously I was born and raised in India, so culturally as well, I'm like, I'm comfortable, you know, doing business, everything. Yeah, I don't need all those kind of training or learning, but how do you start and how do you scale? And also, how do you get your message across, what you're trying to do? Because that we don't do as projects, we do project plans and, you know, our charters and very official stakeholder meetings. I mean, no, the Instagram audience is not going to like that. No people on LinkedIn, no one's got time, you know. So this is where the Founder Magazine's been phenomenal with their courses that they provide exclusively for entrepreneurs of any age group. And there's so much different, you know, options, but I went with the start and scale option and also the Instagram course, because the first was a start and scale where it kind of Forbes 30 under 30 founder of, like, you know, 4 super successful e-commerce companies here in Melbourne, Greta Van Riel, she runs the course, right? And then you can watch video every single day when you get the time. Block your half an hour, block your hour, and, you know, go through that. That has been phenomenal for me, because that's, you know, like, incredible. The other thing is, did you know UN has a lot of free courses when it comes to sustainability? Yes, and I'm more than happy to. I haven't done everything. I have to put my hand up. I'm like, I haven't done everything, but some of them were amazing, just to understand the concept of moving away from the linear take, make, dispose linear economy to the actual circular economy, which is restorative, regenerative. It uses, you know, whatever is there, recycles, you know, things back into economy and closing the loop while generating employment and picking the economy as well. So it's not a, you know, economy where you go, then how is it really going to work? Is it really creating jobs? Believe me, no, it does. So dispelling, you know, all the myths surrounding circular economy, saying it's not really viable. That's so not true. That's so not true. So courses from UN, again, that's been amazing. And last but not the least, obviously, Google is always your best friend, right? Again, this is me, my engineering hat on, the technology person coming out going, if in doubt, Google, and then, you know, you that's right, Google it.
It's got all of the Earth's information on there for a reason. Absolutely, use it.
That's right. And also use, you know, your sense of judgment to find the credible sources. So, and that's how I've landed. But then with the founder course and the UN courses, it gave me so much confidence in terms of what I'm doing as a business now, not just, you know, right? yeah.
Excellent. I imagine that mapping out your skills that you need to build a business, where the actions that you need to take, and thinking, I feel comfortable with this area, I feel unsure about this area, and then maybe going and finding where you can find similar courses. Because you think about something like, I've never priced a product, how do I go about that process? To maybe you can be quite specific, to start thinking, okay, there are a few areas that I know I don't know anything about and I need that support, and then you can find where that exists. In fact, I did have a question about Founder and whether that was paid for.
Yes, I had to pay
okay.
that course. But interestingly, you know what? Founder also does this amazing thing. They have this 1 hour kind of sessions, which is absolutely free. All you have to do is register and go through that 1 hour kind of summary kind of thing. If you know that's fitting your needs, for me, that's what happened with Start and Scale. Attended the 1 hour thing and I'm going, this is it. This is exactly what I'm looking for, because I'm a project manager, I know lots of things, but then as you just said, when you create a product, how do you price that? And then how do you look at the retail and also the wholesale component of it? And I don't plan on a page, but how do I do that from a business perspective, right? And also keeping in mind how much investment is required upfront and the product planning, roadmap and stuff like that, which is quite different, project management. So they take you through step by step. The 1 hour summary is fantastic. That gives you confidence so then you go, okay, this is what I need. And then you just go and you're ready, you sign up. And I think these days they've also, they've started this subscription-based kind of thing where you sign up and look, it's probably like we all go for a cup of coffee every day. It's something like that. And if you're really serious on like if you really want to change your career path and you've made up your mind and you just don't know how to go about it, I would suggest invest in yourself. And that's, through learning what's relevant so that you can get going. Yeah.
Excellent. In the digital age, there are so many options out there to help fill those gaps that you need. And it probably is one of the best areas to invest. And no matter where you are in so many different countries and states, etc., there are various grants or free courses that you can do, but it does take a bit of research. One area that I was particularly interested in, the circular economy, it's brilliant. I have seen these UN sustainable courses, and the circular economy is luckily becoming more and more spoken about in the mainstream, even if it's not widely understood. At least you see the term, I think, more and more. But I wondered if one thing that might get in the way of somebody who really wants to start their own business with a sustainable lens is what makes your business sustainable? Do you need to get verification of the different stages of recycling? Or when you come over here, do you have to pay certain taxes? Obviously, you're bringing things over from India. Were there some areas that you needed to understand about the technical side of sustainability and anything that you needed to pay for, I suppose?
Absolutely. I'll start off with the things that came for free. That is, my own curiosity and asking questions, right? So with the suppliers, always, no matter how friendly and good relationship with you are, I think it's very important to keep the business purpose very clear. So when I talk to my suppliers back in beautiful southern India, I've always been very clear. I ask for documentation, whether they have their, export certifications and things like that. Two, I want to know what sort of commitment are they making there, sort of, like the simplified version of corporate social responsibility. So, because I know, like, here bigger organizations can probably have this big stack of documents, but they do it, in their own way. But I have always made sure ask for it, read through every single thing, understand who are they partnering with. Are they really making sure, sort of they're employing women? And two, are they sort of, are they really doing what they're telling me to do? Just seeking that verification rather than asking question like, okay, can an external quality inspector come in and do a quick check or give me a report on, once you're done with the fabric, they need to come and check the quality, the color fast, all those kind of things, the strength of the fabric, making sure. So I've asked all that question. So sometimes, yes, you will have to pay for the quality inspection, but reviewing the documentation, asking the questions, that's absolutely free. You can do it yourself. And what I've also requested for the sake of transparency is I have videos of our women weaving, photos of them, not just photos, but the actual videos of making of the product. On top of that, we know their names, we know how long they've been working for, and all sorts of things. So it's that deeper relationship, and it's taken time. Everything is effort, right, Hannah? And that's why I've taken time with purpose to investigate all this and bring it all together. We're actually part of the 1% pledge, where you can dedicate 1% of your product or your profit or 1% of your time of your company employees to create education, awareness, or giving back through volunteering, etc. So for me, I've signed up saying 1% of all our company time. Basically, our job is to create that education and awareness, and I'm doing that with schools and people go around. Yeah, that's right. That's what I do. There's also lots of options, right? There's 1% for planet. You can go take on that, and there's also be certified. You can do that as well. Those are it starts to get expensive and expensive and expensive, right? So I think you should always plan what's feasible for you as a business and have a roadmap. For me, my roadmap was 1% pledge first, because giving back through time and volunteering, that wasn't a problem at all. I do it anyway, so I knew. So that's why I'm part of the 1% pledge. Next step is 1% for planet. So yeah, and which is then I know a percent of the revenue is going, and then be certified probably down the track. And with even the the recycled yarn, you can get certification saying that this is certified. Obviously, again, everything comes with a cost, but for me, as we grow as a business, definitely we're going to be doing that. But as a startup who's just establishing themselves, I'm comfortable saying that I do my due diligence working towards the certification. So that's where we were at. So yeah.
I mean, it's excellent. It's a really brilliant business proposition already. But I think the advice that's really applicable as well is that when you start, you don't have to do everything at once. Prioritize the paperwork that you need at the point of getting the product, the investment in quality inspection that's going to reassure you, especially when you're building the range, let alone various points throughout production. The 1% pledge, brilliant. You chose what was important to you, but you don't have to do it all at once. If becoming B Corp certified is what you want to do, but it's going to be 2026, it's on the plan. So that's a really helpful piece of advice. I couldn't help but wonder what your best sellers were.
Our best sellers are the tea towels. So initially I started off with just 2 colors, the beige and the turmeric gold, ode to my homeland, the turmeric in a land of spices, and gold, the Australian gold, obviously can't go. So they've been really good. So based on obviously the feedback and how they were flying out, I'm like, I went with Australian summer, so when with the summer days, the blues, you see the shades of the blue in my background. Yeah, again, they're really good. What I've also done is now just very, very recently, it's just as of just last week, we decided to use some leftover fabric from another customer, same, sustainable, hand woven and stuff like that. But the customer said, I'm just taking my product. If there's leftover stuff, don't worry about it. Just you can use it. So the supplier told me, would you like to try anything with it? And we got tote bags made, 100% hand woven, 100% sustainable, again, handcrafted. The tailor who made it, woman, her name is Shanti. She's been doing that for 3.5 years. She's got a beautiful boy. Yeah, you see, I know who's made it, right? Yes, I'm telling you. So now we're slowly expanding, but I'm also very mindful that as a startup, just as we said, we need to prioritize. So I could make all kinds of home textiles this year, but then not know what exactly is the bestseller or what will work, right? So I'm always listening to the customers and trying to make sure, okay, the hand towels, the tea towels, those kind of things are working out really well. So I'll expand that range. I've also got some throws made as samples. Oh, I'm getting demand for that. So I'm just going to add on 1 or 2 extra products in the next, 6 months. And again, they make amazing corporate gifts. If you're giving your employees or, your business partners a bottle of wine, why not chuck in a throw or the tea towels? That's it. So, and what a story to tell. Yeah.
It's brilliant. And I think you're being very sensible there by slowly adding to the range, because you are testing the market. And I have got a hypothesis that I still think the word recycled, we all want to recycle things. I think we're still dubious over things that have been recycled. I mean, most things now are becoming so much better that the quality is really good. But you wonder if people are buying that tea towel, testing that out, finding out that it's really excellent quality, and then they buy more. Then you think this is going to be, I mean, the tote bag sounds beautiful. So do you get that sense that maybe there's some still intrepidation as people test out recycled items?
Interestingly, I've had that kind of reluctance when I've gone into shops, right? So they've checked, tested, and that's when, when I said it's recycled, they're like, oh, no way, it's impossible kind of thing. And I'm like, no, it is possible. I can get you documentation if you want to look at it, in terms of our product composition. So again, it's just the trial and error, right? Us being sensible, saying how much of recycled yarn can be used with our fabric. So at this stage, our tote bags and also our tea towels, they are 30% recycled polycotton. Having said that, I've spoken to the suppliers, and again, I've got some samples just with 100%, recycled yarn as well. They're really good, and I think they'll actually make good, like really, really great tote bags. So things like, serviettes or placemats and stuff like that. So yeah. So there is use for every single thing. What I'm finding is, as long as you kind of find the right balance for the right product, then it becomes, easier. And this is where I did not shy away from spending nearly good 2.5 to 3 months in total doing that, getting that sample of different types, getting the market feedback, all kinds of things, and then taking those learnings and then, getting this range made, right? So that helped. Yeah.
Doing solid research. I think it sounds brilliant that, again, it's test and trial and error, both with the market, but also as you're building the product. So I'm going to close by asking you about what's the future for your business, because you've done so much in a short space of time, and yet at a really good, steady pace. What are your hopes and plans for the next few years?
I will talk about two things, right? The short term and the long term, because that's just me. Short term, we know that there is a crisis, almost like, a truck which is carrying truckload of rubbish clothing is dumping on landfill site, like, sort of every second, not even every minute, every second that's happening. So time to take action is now. But I'm not here to tell people that, oh, you should stop doing whatever you're doing and then just buy looking at, recycled stuff. I would say, like, slow micro changes. So as consumers collectively, if we can make those slow changes and start incorporating, recycled kind of products, that would be so helpful. So in the short term, we want to add to our product range. And most importantly, what I'm looking at is partnering with like-minded organizations who share the same values, supporting women, ethical production, and last but not the least, doing good for the environment as well. Partner with them as their corporate or branded business gift supplier. That's what I want to sort of focus on and grow, while obviously keeping the e-commerce channel as well. But I think when you look at the workforce and the amount of women in workforce as well, collectively, we can make a huge difference. So this is where I'll be looking at that partnership with the, whether it's, corporate, profit, not-for-profit, government, I don't really mind, but as long as, it's with the right mindset, that's what I want to do. And in probably longer term, if I'll be talking like in the next 5 to 8 years time, the plan is to actually start the recycling and handloom industry in Australia, giving employment opportunities to predominantly women, and also like, people who want to these kind of jobs, right? Yeah, so create yeah, and I'm definitely like, I'm hoping that government will take a serious look at their policies and the grants and other things they're doing. They're making slow changes. Look, it's progress. It's never going to be overnight. So in 5 to 8 year times, while they're getting ready, I'm hoping, like, yeah, we're also going to be ready to start our own, sort of, yeah, industry here.
Excellent. And would that involve training? Would that still incorporate your team in India as well? And you'd maybe...
Absolutely. I am loving the fact that India and Australia signed this big, the bilateral trade agreement, where I know now you can import export with like, I think nearly like 90% of the products, it's like exempt from paying tax and stuff like that, which comes into picture as of 1st of July. This yeah, which is amazing. So there's the free trade agreement, which just came just in time. For me, I think I want to do it in both places. I want to support women in India, but also support women here as well. Why not take, women who are interested, who maybe come from difficult or challenging backgrounds, or not being able to find, your traditional employment. Why not upskill them and provide them with this opportunity in a safe, support, and sort of nurturing environment?
Excellent. I completely agree and can see your future really mapped out. I think it's so great that you've actually acted on a dream, because you're also pioneering women in ethical production, doing good things for the planet, and actually showing us it can be done if you actually put your mind to it and combine your skills with a proactive sense of filling the skills that you might not have to make that happen. And I've seen the stats for how much fashion goes into landfill, and it is the majority of what is produced is going into landfill. And I think there's both a lack of awareness of that and maybe a lack of solutions for it. So it is so wonderful to know businesses like yours give us more options as a consumer to not add to that problem. Thank you so much for being a woman on fire in her 40s and acting on it in such a brilliant way, because I think anyone listening to this would feel really inspired to both support you and your mission, but also maybe act on their own dream as well.
Oh, absolutely. Look, anything at all. And I think we should just live with our purpose. I think if you do that, I promise, I think collectively as a world, I know there's a lot of challenges around. If we follow our purpose, I think we can like sort of lead the world with light. So that's what I want to focus on. Use this as an innovation opportunity, an opportunity to make real difference. We that can get bogged down in fear, or lead with light. I choose light and hope. And thank you so much for having me on, Hannah. I really appreciate it.
Well, we will make sure that all of so Punar and any other links that you've got for everything that you've mentioned, I think Founder would be good to get an idea about what's out there. We'll have to link everything. And yeah, to everyone listening, enjoy seeing the story and the products. But yeah, reading the story of the women behind the products, I think, as well. Take care. Thank you so much. I can't wait to meet you in real life.
That's right. Hopefully we'll make that happen. Yes.
Take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hannah.